Class is dismissed, boys and girls.
You're in. The zone!
Previously on the YTV Retrospective.
Got a head like a ping pong ball. I've got a head like a ping pong ball. I've got a head like a ping pong ball. Ping like a ping pong ball.
Peddling with the Keener. Check this out. Everybody. Check it out.
How do you do? Mr. Bradburns feels it would be a little unkind to present this video without just a friendly word of warning. We are about to unfold the story of The Dark Knight, a seasonal block on YTV that puts the PJ's talents to the test and in their own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries since YTV's conception, the PJs and the Grogs. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to, well, we warned you.
Good evening to all who haunt this ghoulish place. Tonight, we take a look at one of the most famous aspects of the entirety of YTV. Back when Halloween was its dominant subject. Oh sure, nowadays they pull out all the stops for Christmas. But back in the 90s and early 2000s, they did much more for Halloween. We welcome the Halloween blocks to our retrospective, and we start with the magnum opus of the PJ era of YTV. Welcome to Dark Knight! Dark Knight was a Halloween block that premiered in October of 1993. In its first year, it was pretty much business as usual at the Zone, but with Halloween-themed episodes of shows like Garfield and Friends and Rugrats. It focused on PJ's Phil, Jen, and Ashna, as they're all talking in a dark and cramped set. A standard start to the festivities. The big draw for this one was the triple feature of episodes for Are You Afraid of the Dark, as it was one of the biggest shows that YTV had at the time. We've already covered the series a while back. This show was a phenomenon, and they were definitely looking to take some cues from it. Alas, we could not find any footage from this iteration. The second Dark Knight in 1994 was similar to the first, with 5 back-to-back episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark. However, things were different. Not only getting a sponsor with Smarties, not only having PJ Jen hanging out with PJ Phil and Warren Grog as they get scared.
Welcome back to YTV's Dark Knight. That was the first of 5 back-to-back episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark? And I'm not. I laugh in the face of fear.
Oh, please. You're shaking like a cheap washer-dryer combo.
You get off my back, you cockroach.
Cockroach. Get a new act. They're on sale with the cheap costumes. Hey, do you know what Mischief Night is?
Every night of my life, Phil. For instance, this girl last night I met...
No, you fool. Mischief Night is the night right before Halloween. So check out what happens on Mischief Night in this next episode. So tune in and make a wish, Warren.
But this was the year they would create one of the most iconic looks for YTV during Halloween, or any spooky show for that matter. Enter the Green Skull. Originally a model skull painted green with the YTV logo on it, but in years' time would become the iconic CGI logo we know today. In 1995, for Dark Knight 3, YTV's creativity began to brew. This year had 4 back-to-back episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark, and the YTV premiere of Goosebumps. This was the beginning of a match made in heaven. Or would it be hell, for that matter? They filmed this one outside the YTV studios and at the Toronto landmark Casa Loma, a larger-than-life castle mansion turned museum, or that one location that Chris Evans grinded the large flight of stairs to his doom in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Wow. He totally bailed. I didn't get his autograph.
They went bigger. More equipment was needed outside the YTV studios. Even promos on other YTV blocks were part of the action. Primarily, Brainwash.
Check this out.
You have it signed.
Signed by R.L. Stein.
That rhymes. This looks like it's going to be, hey, one of these things here. This is one of the prizes for tonight's Dark Knight 3. Yes, that's right. You know what's happening. We got the t-shirt we got going on.
Another interesting thing about this year's Dark Knight was that we got to see a pilot for a little series known as Freaky Stories. This was a different version than what we are accustomed to.
But after you hear this, you will, brother. You will. This is a true story. Yeah, happened to a friend of mine.
Taking place at a zoo, no Maurice the Maggot, and the animation was all done with colored storyboards. It was very minimal, but it was the start of one of the most well-known Halloween shows to air on YTV. The promos definitely took a step up, although they reused shots from it for a Goosebumps promo. Take a look.
Adam. Adam. Adam, wake up. You have nothing to fear.
If you dare sneak a peek from under that pillow, YTV makes the phenomenon of the decade frighteningly real. Goosebumps, Saturdays at 7:30.
This was when they knew Dark Knight was going to be a tradition. On October 26th, 1996, the 4th entry into this series went to a different and bigger direction. This one included a contest where kids can win lots of cool Goosebumps stuff during Are You Afraid of the Dark, Goosebumps, and Erie, Indiana.
This is the night, Dark Knight 4. Think everybody else is as scared as we are, Phil? I'm not scared. I'm having a blast. We're giving away 100 Dark Knight 4 prize packs. The prize pack includes a Dark Knight 4 baseball cap, disappearing skull watch, and this happening jacket. You also get an Are You Afraid of the Dark t-shirt, a whack of Kraft Kids products, and all this Goosebumps stuff, including some freaky faces, an Inster, and a gigantic Goosebumps game. I think you are scared, Phil. No, you know what? I think everybody wants to know how to win a Dark Knight 4 prize pack. At the end of each show, watch for the toll-free number. You need to stay glued to Dark Knight 4.
But even further than that, they looked to tell a spooky story all by themselves. It focused on PJ, Phil, and Paul looking for a Halloween party, but end up getting lost.
Hi, I'm Phil. This is Paul. We're looking for a party.
You found it.
No. It's like a big monster rave. Crazy, with people dressed up like freaks, dancing, having a bad time.
Maybe it's looking for you.
Both getting character arcs of Paul slowly mutating into a monster after being bit by one.
If we hurry, we can still catch those babes. Hope he gets back soon. You need some serious help. Have you looked at yourself? You're revolting. You're just jealous, Phil. And you're weak. This whole trip is beyond you. It's beyond you.
And Phil thinking to himself that he is uncool.
Wait, I'm the one who got the invite. He just came along.
Listen, you cockroach. Your party's waiting for you down at your mama's place, so why don't you head down there, have some milk and some cookies and some ice cream before they run out, all right, you little squirt?
Hey, Bongo, this guy learned hip from me. If he goes, I go.
You ain't got what it takes. Your friend here's getting hipper by the second. He's already got the mark of the Dark Knighters. What do you got? They're gonna take very special care of that arm when you get to that party.
They filmed all this along a section of warehouses, and it was an interesting story. I remember getting home at like 7 a.m. in the morning, after shooting all night around YTV and the warehouses there. Before it became Liberty Village, it used to be a landfill, with abandoned buildings and warehouses. It was crazy, recalls Phil Guerrero. You gotta remember, back then, it wasn't called Liberty Village. It was Lower East Parkdale. When we were shooting Dark Knight 4, in the park, there were vagrants, needles, and condoms scattered around on the ground, you know? It was a totally different place, adds Paul McGuire. In 1997, we have the 5th entry in the series, and this time, taking cues from a few things. There were live segments that were similar to the Blair Witch Project, a few years before the movie premiered, as the PJs explored the strange goings-on of a small town called Tweed, as they search for aliens.
Oh, this is like totally creepy. All right, guys, looks like we got some action over here.
Can you hear us, guys? Katie? Phil?
Okay, we got a bit of a problem here. Guys, be patient. Hopefully we can get Sam back with them in a few minutes, okay?
The suspense was there, seeing the fate of the PJs as they continued traversing.
Okay, we're gonna go back to the studio. Everything here in Tweed is okay. It's okay.
I can't believe it.
I'm getting something on Katie's camera here. What is that?
However, behind the scenes, they were wondering how much they could push when it comes to the horror limit. How much fear kids could take. There was a lot of controversy back then. If it wasn't kids gambling with pogs, the horror stuff was too much for them. Or the Power Rangers were making kids beat each other up in the schoolyards. Every time we did a Dark Knight, we wondered if it was too scary, recalls Guerrero. This was sadly the final Dark Knight that was done in this format. The final Dark Knight aired in 1998. It was about a boy named Jake traversing his town as strange occurrences happen all around him. Worms for breakfast?
Jake, honey, what's the matter? You don't like your oatmeal? It has raisins in it.
A clown for a principal?
Did I do something wrong?
Not at all, Jake. I just wanted to let you know about a few changes around here.
Changes?
You look nervous, Jake. Do I make you nervous, Jake?
And an evil ringleader chasing him. To me, it reminds me of both Are You Afraid of the Dark and Freaky Stories. The interesting thing about this one was that all of the events led up to the YTV premiere of Poltergeist at 10 p.m. They could air it as it was late at night, but it was just surreal seeing this on YTV. And that was Dark Knight. I may have sped through these proceedings, but this was one of the best things to be created by the PJs, and was fondly remembered by those who watched it. Do you know how big it got? It got lots of cool prize packs courtesy of Hasbro, with Dark Knight themed puzzles, and a game of Trouble. Through the contests, one year it took down an entire phone network in New Brunswick, as kids were calling to enter. That is insane. Now around 1999, many of the faces of the PJ era left YTV, and while Dark Knight as a tradition was over, YTV didn't want to stop the Halloween branding altogether. And thus, we got Halloweird, which ran for 2 years. Its first year was about a monster party, starring Dwight the Vampire Trainee, played by Alan Turner.
You know what? Maybe I'm not gonna be a good monster. I just don't think I have it in me. Maybe I should stay a human. I don't like living in a cave, only going outside when it's dark. I can't take all these late nights, and I do miss French fries. But as a monster, people would respect me. People will fear me. And they'll write about me. And they'll make movies about me. Well, but then I wouldn't have any time to myself. But I'd get to live in Hollywood, and then there's Buffy. Oh, but once she saw me, she put a stake through me. Life is tough. Decisions are tough, aren't they? I wonder what I should do. I think I know. And now, here's a tasty treat for you.
With this block, they got a sponsor in Bandai of America. As the first year, they were promoting the Omega Yo-Yo as part of the contest, and winners would also get a behind-the-scenes tour of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The second year featured a Frankenstein's monster played by Scott Yaffe, aka Wink Yahoo.
On October 28th, we're giving you the spookiest, creepiest, most twisted night of horrific terror.
Ooh, did I scare you? Get ready for Halloweird.
From 4 till midnight, heads are going to roll.
Hey, buddy, is that you? I mean me? I'm over here. Get over here.
As he hosts a Halloween-themed game show, makes sense as the production team behind Uh-Oh were producing this one.
I have escaped my prison, and now I will cause mayhem to the studio audience! Punisher! Control!
The contest this year had the grand prize of a translucent Macintosh computer and toys from the Digimon line. Also funny enough, they aired the uncensored version of Beetlejuice.
All 4 eyes met a surprise. Halloweird.
Yeah, that one. The final entry into the Halloween-themed blocks is its most recent, Fangtastic, which started in 2004. This is basically Halloween-themed shows and specials for only a few weeks before Halloween, and was just that, a block. Nothing creative or thinking outside the box on this one. Just present the show and movies with Halloween-themed bumpers, and that was basically it. Even Teletoon did more of their Halloween presentation than YTV was with the Fangtastic era in its early years. One year, Teletoon showed marathons of both the real Ghostbusters and Beetlejuice, the animated series. How cool was that? Now that's not to say YTV's movie choices were bad. Far from it. They do bring in good Halloween movies like Monster House, Corpse Bride, Ghostbusters, Coraline, Beetlejuice, and this year, the anime movie Mary and the Witch's Flower. And a few years ago, we had a flashback of Halloween's past with the reboot of Are You Afraid of the Dark, and has been continuing to add each new miniseries. So the content is fine, just needed a bit more in the presentation department from where it started. Thankfully, it got an update just a few years ago, creating its own branding identity despite reducing the time it's on to roughly the week of Halloween. So, it's on the right path. As I said before, nowadays, YTV have primarily focused on Christmas when it comes to their holiday festivities. Month-long's worth of content, including a marathon of retro specials called Blast from Christmas Past. But that's what made Dark Knight and Halloweird so special. These were blocks with the people behind it thinking outside the box, and working with what they had, making something incredible in the process. Halloween and YTV were once a tradition, but now, it has become just the standard, overshadowed by a holiday just a few months away. Who knows if the Dark Knight tradition will come back? Only time will tell.
In the end, everyone got what they wanted. Paul's arms getting looked after, even as we speak. And Phil found a bat so bad, gonna make him weep. And as for us Dark Knighters, we're gonna party on till the sun comes up in the sky. And we'll do it all again next year. Oh me, oh my.
When we come back, who's up for some monster hunting?
Next time on the YTV Retrospective.
I make the monster speak.
like to thank you all for coming. There's plenty enough for everyone.